What happened here? It's a fascinating story.
Well, actually, one of the great advantages of being brought up on society's dustbin heap is that there's nowhere else to go but up.
Right.
And as you said, look, I'm of the Windrush generation, so you know the story that people like my parents came over in the 50s. I was left behind, and then when they earned enough money, I then followed, and I was brought up in Small Heath in Birmingham. And even to this day, I have absolutely no fondness at all for the place. It was the pits.
Was it?
And and I'm from a family of 11, so there's 11 of us. Imagine this now, Nigel, 11 of us brought up in a two down-terrace house. There are 3 of us to a bed. We were really, really poor. I remember my mother having to try and feed 11 of us with 1 chicken. And it's not one of these chickens you now get at the supermarkets, which is nice and tender. It's one of these old hens that no one wanted, and so she had to cook it for days.
I shouldn't laugh.
But, I've now to this day got a fetish with my chicken bones because trying to get every bit of nutrition out of it. But because we're so poor, my father had an allotment, and as the oldest boy, it was my responsibility to look after this allotment. And this is where my story started, because this allotment really became my oasis away from the misery that I was surrounded in. And I can remember at the age of 11 that I made myself a promise that one day I would like to own my own farm. Now, it took me about 40 years to achieve that. But one of the things I like to say to people, it's very, 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 very important to dream early and to dream big. Now, you've been to the States, and the Americans really understand this idea that you could dream to be much bigger.
Sky's the limit. Yeah.
Sky is the limit.
Yeah.
So if there's one criticism I have to have about us being British is that we tend to be quite cynical about people who think that they could really rise above their station. But if you don't put it out there, if you don't dream it, it will never, ever happen. And every single thing about everything I've achieved in life, somebody has gone out of their way to help me make it happen. So if you're not prepared to put it out there, you will not meet the guardian angels who will come along to help you achieve those goals. So that, it may be a very simple thing to say, but it's a very, very, very important thing.
This is the most pro-allotment argument I've ever heard in my life.